Hello, crossroads, witches, and other interesting magical beings. Woo! Always say it, always mean it. Happy to be here today. I've got a great video with some really good notes, but I want to start with shameless self-promotion for a minute. I am a best-selling author. Hoodoo in the Psalms is a best-selling book. My recent book, Conjuring Dirt, is now available. Please go check them out if you're interested in a lot of the subject matter I discuss. And of course, if you have purchased one of my books, please leave a review on Amazon, trying to feed the algorithm monster. All right, that's it for woo marketing. Now we're gonna get on to what the video is about, which is mystic, spiritual, and witch. These words, what do they mean? And recently somebody was sort of inferred that you could use them interchangeably, and sort of sat us back, with thinking about it and being like, yeah, no. And that we do need to be using our words correctly, but more importantly, we'll need to be on the same page with what these words mean. I do not believe that mystic, spiritual, and witch are actually interchangeable. I believe that they have various components that sometimes you're like, are you mystical? Is this witchcraft? Are you being spiritual? Is this mystical? Is this witchcraft? It's because these three areas do overlap. I believe that each of them are their own different things. And I'm going to talk with that. And as y'all can always know, I brought notes. Ooh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. The mystic. Let's start with what the hell's a mystic? A mystic is someone who is seeking to have a divine experience, a mystical experience. The mystic. They're looking for their own personal gnosis. All right? Mystics can be in any of the magical traditions, can be in any of the other religious systems out there. All right? You can be mystical when you are looking for an experience with the divine. And I think a lot of us are. That's why I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. Now let's talk about spiritual. We hear that a lot. I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, all right? What am I saying when I'm saying I'm spiritual? What I'm saying is that I am wanting to work on my own spirit, my own spiritual journey, my journey of self-discovery, my journey of self, strengthening my spiritual connection to the divine. And that's where it can be a little right in those, where I just said this, where I talked about a mystical experience with divine and a spiritual experience with the divine. While they are both very similar, they do stand on their own, and looking at the nuances of these words and not just using them as umbrella terms to incorporate, oh, they must be spiritual. Oh, they must be mystical. Oh, they must be a witch, And then we're going to get to that final one, witch. What is a witch? A witch is looking to connect with nature, with the cycles of the cosmos, was looking to use a little energetic work to move the universe slightly left to right in their favor. That is an encapsulation. And when we say witch, witchcraft for some folks is a religion. Witchcraft for some folks is a spiritual, mystical experience. And witchcraft for some folks is a craft. It has nothing to do with the mystical. It has nothing to do with the spiritual. It is witchcraft, and it stands on its own. And that when we are talking with folks, we have to be aware that for many people, how their practice is may be different than yours. For you, this may be your religion. A religion is something that has a dogma. And a lot of times people are like, oh, witchcraft isn't a religion, it's a craft. And I'm like, for you, that may be a true statement. For other folks, that is not a true statement. And when we look into what actually a religion is, like I said, with its dogma, with, liturgy, where it has standalones, not so much scripture, but understanding there's principles, there's all sorts of things around that make that a religion. It doesn't matter if you have 3 people in your religion or 3 million people, it's still a religion. As well as the difference for some folks, it's a spiritual practice. And that is, again, back to those looking internally, looking within your own spirit and how you, self-improvement, how you can work on your spiritual experience, and at the same time how you're connecting to ancestors, how you're connecting to land you stand on, how you're connecting to divinity. These are all things in which are within that modality of what we would call spirituality. And it does get confusing, and sometimes, to be honest, which is another interesting people, I confuse myself and I get confused. And I very well understood why this beautiful young witch was like, oh, isn't it all interchangeable? Because, yeah, it sort of is, but at the same time, we have to be careful doing that. Like I said, we're losing our nuances. We're losing those little details of what make each of these their own unique path, their own unique way of doing things. You can be mystical without being spiritual or being a witch. You can be a witch without being mystical or being, spiritual. All of them are on their own, and at the same time, for many of us within our own practices, I know with my personal self, the crossroads I stand on, I incorporate all 3 of these, and understanding them has helped me to have a deeper connection to my own magic, to my own connection to divinity, and more importantly, to my own sense of self. When I am speaking my authentic voice, I have the understanding of all of the how complicated this is inside, because each of us is just as complicated inside, all right? You're allowed to be complicated. You're allowed to be contradictions at times, and not to simplify or oversimplify what we're doing, but to really look within ourselves at our own craft, our own spiritual connections. Are they working for us? And if they are, how can I improve them a little bit? And if they aren't, what do I need to do to change that so that now they are? And again, this is where having these little conversations where, we had this really dynamic conversation about these 3 words. And it also was a reaffirming of self, a re-energizing of having that conversation where we were all just, bringing different ideas to the table. And that's when those moments I realized how important community is. How having those opportunities to sit in space, whether, virtual or in real life, how important they are. And it's not so much sitting in an organized space, but just having those dynamic conversations where you do have these discussions, because you find out that, you go home and like seeds have been planted, and so now you're thinking about it, or at least this is how it works for me. I'm the one that goes home, and like 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, I should have said that, It takes me a little while sometimes. I gotta like get it through me. It's gotta marinate, meditate. I gotta think on it, and then, like I said, 2-3 hours later, I'm like, oh, I got it, And I know that about myself. And so later that evening, after this great conversation, I'm just sitting there mulling on it, thinking all the different things that I'd heard, and how much a lot of what I'd heard encouraged me, inspired me, hearing these other folks, magical practitioners, their thoughts on it, and hearing other folks' stories. So I know I've slightly gotten off track and I'm over on this other railroad talking about community, but how important these conversations are when we're using these words. How are we using them? Are they truly conveying what we want to convey to the other folks around us? You know, because sometimes I think I'm saying something, but in reality, what this person is their perception, what they're perceiving I'm saying is completely different. And that's their truth. It's, you know, where they're like, why is she saying it like that? You know, and in my mind, it's completely crystal clear. And when we get those opportunities to, you know, exercise our words, use our words, we learn how to convey what we're doing more effectively. We learn how, you know, to explain not only to others, but to ourselves, which is, as you all know, the most important person in the room. Everybody say it out loud. It's me, myself, and I. Say it out loud again, because I know some of y'all have a hard time with this one. This is about you. This is about your internal conversations. And when we give ourselves better words, guess what, guys? We have better conversations. Yes, this is some old witch wisdom. Better words, better conversations. Because I think, you know, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I didn't have some good words, you know. I was still learning how to express them. And you know, as a neurodivergent, that makes it even worse because I lose social cues with people. So of course I see stuff that's like blurted out there and people are like, what did she just say? You know, and so witchcraft for me is, I'm going to tie it back around. Y'all watch this segue. Witchcraft for me is a mystical experience. Witchcraft for me is a spiritual experience. And witchcraft for me is also a craft. All right. The great thing about this whole deal is it's not like we have to pick. All right. A lot of times we feel like we're presented with an either or. We have to pick which one is the best, which one is valid, which one is the right way. You don't have to. That's the biggest bullshit myth. Is first of all that the choices that you're seeing are not all the choices that are available. And secondly, you don't have to choose. You can embrace it all. You know, we can embrace all of it without saying, oh, I choose this one and somehow give it more validity than the others. We have to be very careful with that. And I can hear myself getting off subject again. All right. Like I said, this is where I wish I could have like that little camera where I'm in some of these conversations because I'm listening to people talk and I'm like, this is what so many of us need to hear. I mean, it's, you know, and how important it is. And so when you do get the opportunity to go to an in-person event, walk up to somebody and tell them, hey, it's my first time here. Or walk up to somebody like, oh my God, I'm really nervous and overwhelmed. You know, speak your truth out loud and you'll find that, you know, a lot of folks will be like, oh, I'm feeling the same way. You've connected with somebody in that moment and now you can start to have a really cool conversation. We have some great virtual spaces and that's my other segue. Is that if you would like to get involved in my virtual space, I have an open chat the first Thursday of every month that is available to the public. Just reach out to House of Witchcraft. You can go to howtowitchcraft.com, sign up for this, look up on the event list. I can say this out loud. You can email me at whatamusingwitch, the number 1, amusingwitch @gmail. It's also at houseofwitchcraft.com. You can find my email listed there as well. It's also listed on YouTube. I think it's also on TikTok, and I think it's on Instagram. So you can get my email if you're looking for it. But the first Thursday of every month at 8 Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we have an open community chat. We have a topic. Occasionally we have a really cool surprise guest that I get to invite in for our chats. And then If you are, I think that's, you know, the jam and everything, and you're enjoying it, we have an ongoing Thursday chat that is part of our 13 Mutants Academy. It gives you access to all of the information that we have over there at 13 Moons, our year and a day course of study, and which is fun and all that. But that's like the best part is that like every Thursday we have things going on. We have full moons. Like I said, we have guests who come and chat with us. Occasionally we decide that we're going to read a book, and we pretend to read the book because not all of us are really good at reading. And so we let some people read the book and then some people don't. You know how it goes. But we do feast days, we do sabbats, solstices, equinoxes. We do all sorts of fun things. And it's just been such a joy to be a part of, and to get to know these people again, to have these really great conversations where we get to discuss things like, you know, mystic, spiritual, witch, what does this mean and how does it apply to me? And see, I did. I brought it right back around again. I was good there. All right, witches. I know this was a lot of blurb of information and everything else, but I hope it inspires you on your own journey, because right now in this moment you have everything you need. All right, and for so many of you, you are our next generation of magic. You are the next generation of witches and other interesting magical beings. Never forget that there is a place for you in our community. All right, do not doubt it. Do not feel like, you know, oh, I don't deserve it. Oh, I'm not worthy. Oh, I'm not good enough somehow. All right, sweetheart, we all at some point felt that. We all at some point dealt with an imposter syndrome of some type. And we kicked that demon of doubt off our shoulder. We grabbed the courage and the strength to walk through the door and become part of the community. And I'll tell you what I hear from like 99.9% of the people, and which finally do reach out, finally do start getting involved. You know what they say to me? I wish I'd done this sooner. Why didn't I do this sooner? And remember that. Our regrets in life are mostly things we didn't do. And you, watching this video, are obviously leaning into our community. All right, so reach out, make friends, find, you know, and you may have to go to a couple of different groups. You may have to go to a couple of different organizations, but I guarantee, and y'all know I give a Southern guarantee, that there are people out there that will be excited to see you. And with that said, get out there, fly those brooms, have a bright, blessed day. And as always, amen, blessed be, ashe, and bobo.